sunny today, although it's kind of windy for whatever reason. They do say it's supposed to rain again in the next couple of days. And what was going on today? I guess I was reading this again, another Gatwick story. This thing just, I guess, keeps giving, huh? This one here says, Gatwick new technology could prevent airport drone chaos. Scientists believe they have devised a system to prevent drones disrupting major airports. And what exactly is it? It says researchers from the University of Cambridge say a combination of statistical techniques and radar data makes it possible to forecast whether a drone intends to enter restricted airspace. Airports can then focus their responses. An alert at Gatwick Airport in December 2018 saw about 1,000 flights disrupted. Dr. Bashar Ahmad, who carried out the research at the University of Cambridge's Department of Engineering, said, "While we don't fully know what happened at Gatwick, the incident highlighted the potential risks drones can pose to the public if they are misused, whether that's done maliciously or completely innocently. It's crucial for future drone surveillance systems to have predictive capabilities for revealing as early as possible a drone with malicious intent or anomalous behavior." And as they say, no one has ever been prosecuted over the Gatwick incident, which saw the Christmas plans of about 140,000 passengers being affected. For something like this to work too, you have to know 100% there's actually something tangibly there. You can't just guess based on, oh, I saw a light in the sky, like those other stories where the police officer was driving away in terror thinking a drone was following her when it ended up being a planet, for example. And in terms of, let's say, technology, I don't think it's technology you need. This is like a human factor in terms of things like hysteria as well, because you don't react in this way in general. If there was something equal size, like say a huge flock of birds or something like that, you wouldn't shut down the airport in this way. And the scary and sad thing is, if that's the case 100% in the future, let's just say they 100% say, okay, well, there was nothing there, are bad for overreacting, they wouldn't ever do that because it's too embarrassing, and that, I guess, is the sad thing. And you wouldn't ever have a lesson learned, so to speak, especially for the public. Because in terms of how that would affect things in the future, if you wouldn't admit it afterwards, if you were wrong, kind of like that couple that got arrested, look at all the hysteria, the animosity just from the general public. They were so happy they got arrested when they were innocent. If you don't come out and admit it, like in that case, how would that ever be solved in terms of things like hysteria, which I would think that's a big issue in terms of like managing stuff like that. And then I read this, which was kind of interesting. It actually happened a few days ago in terms of the event, but it's generating so much controversy. It dealt with an MMA fight where normally in these types of events, it's like a boxing match. It's based on, for example, male versus male, female versus female, and weight class. But I guess the unique thing here was one of the athletes, the Alana McLaughlin, was actually transgender. So it was a person who became a female from a male. And he was going against a Celine Provost, who was naturally a female. Now for myself, I don't personally really understand the technical science to this, where they're saying this Alana person, the transgender, went through things like hormone therapies, and that's supposed to, in a sense, make it fair, where it will be like, say, a natural woman versus another. In watching the fight though, it seemed kind of shocking to me personally, because it seemed like Celine was the more skilled fighter. She would, for example, punch the person with a lot of combinations and so forth, but it seemed like the person just took it like it was nothing. So in that sense, I'm thinking, wow, there's something wrong here. And at the end, the Elena person actually choked out Celine, and so they won. And you can imagine that a lot of people are saying that was unfair, because some people are saying it's still a male. Because interestingly enough, actually, you can hear in the commentary that people will keep saying like he, for example, referencing the person as a male still. So as mentioned, a lot of people are vocal about it, saying it's not fair and so forth. And some people even like here says, what, Sean O'Malley on Alana McLaughlin, you could tell that's a dude. So again, I don't really understand the technical science behind it in terms of people's explanation about those hormone therapies and stuff. I can only go by what I actually see. Like in that fight, it looked like it was someone else, like a kid, trying to punch out an adult, where I wouldn't doubt even a kid can knock an adult out if they keep hitting the person or hitting them in the right spot. It'll still hurt, but there just seemed like an extreme disadvantage just from what I saw. In any other situation, when a guy gets punched that many times, by someone of, let's just say, an equal weight, I don't think they would actually last that long as if they're wearing like a helmet or something like that. To me personally, this will be one of those really fascinating topics because people will argue about things, for example, equal rights, accessibility. Is it actually fair in this case for something like this to actually take place? I don't know how you can actually debate this in a fair manner without really making, I don't know, one side or the other really mad. An example of the trickiness of the topic, I was reading some comments like in relation to this story. Some people are saying they're perfectly okay with a transgender person doing something, let's just say like track and field, in terms of a transgender person competing with a natural born male or female or whatever. Whereas they say in something like this with physical fighting, it should not be allowed. So to that, it doesn't make sense, because if you're someone who says that makes perfect sense, like whatever those therapies and stuff are, it makes it equal, then technically that should be okay. But if it's not, then I would imagine you'd have to say flat out for everything it shouldn't be allowed. So I don't really see the area where you can kind of say, well, you're allowed to do this but not that. It kind of has to be black and white in that sense, isn't it? Like it's either fair or it's not. So that would be the tricky thing, I guess, for people to debate about. All right, see you guys later.